2011. A young girl in her white and green checkered dress eagerly watched a woman read her book on storylineonline.com. Mr. Falker, her teacher, purposely found one that was also peeking over the shelf in her classroom library. This book is about another young girl, Trisha, going to school and finding it difficult to read and write and spell. But she found her passion, something she loved, art. As the years move on, Trisha was unbothered by her lack of reading ability. Then, her family moved to a city. And in her new school, she was taunted for not being able to read at the appropriate level for her age. When a new boy found out, he taunted her, calling her dumb, ugly, dumbbell, the pointing, and the laughing. The bullying made Trisha go into hiding between her grades. Mr. Falker, Trisha's 5th grade teacher, put a stop to that. He made her paint letters on a chalkboard with a wet sponge and figured out what she needed help with. After a few months of painting letters, sounding out words, and moving the sponge left to right to form different letters, shapes, words, she was handed a book. And then the magic happened. She formed her first sentence. This book, Thank You, Mr. Falker, was based off of the author's, Patricia Polacco's, childhood and reflected her struggles with dyslexia. This book then became very important to the first young girl. She took it home and showed her Nana, her grandmother who was visiting. The girl asked, "Nana, can you read this to me for a bedtime story?" Then Nana replied, "Jessie, why don't you read it to me?" Then proceeded the struggling for words, sounding out, and the tears. You've never seen a young girl cry so hard for something so simple. The young girl was crying because she couldn't read the book. And her grandmother, she was crying because of the meaning of the book and the pain on her granddaughter's face. Now looking back on this, it is so ironic that a young girl with dyslexia couldn't read a book about a young girl with dyslexia. That young girl is me. I'm Jessie Williams, and I'm here to inform the misinformed about what dyslexia is. It may have taken me a good few years to come to an understanding with myself that it isn't something I should be ashamed of. Dyslexia. Now, the general term for disorders that involve the difficulty in learning to read or interpret words, letters, and other symbols, but does not affect the general intelligence. I first remember being taken out of my year 1 class to read short passages with a teacher whose last name escapes me. This happened for math and spelling as well. It didn't bother me at the time, just that I got out of classes. Yet, I knew I was the only one doing it. Personally, I don't consider reading as my area of difficulty. For me, if you know me, I wouldn't put a book down for days until I must. I find spelling, grammar, punctuation, and just putting what I know and want to say onto paper or verbally difficult. Yes, I know, sometimes I say words in the wrong order. And yes, spelling simple words such as because, figure, and purposefully should be something that's easy. Well, it's not for me. In these instances, when I don't know a word, I need to stop, sound it out, spell it different ways, and choose the one that looks and sounds right. And it can be so frustrating. Now, the studies of dyslexia mainly began in the 1960s. A conversation with my nana gave me some interesting information. I asked about her personal experience in raising my dad in the time when dyslexia, the term, was still fairly new. My dad was born in the early 70s and lived in Papua New Guinea from when he was around 3 months to 11 years old. His teachers were confused as to why his grades didn't reflect his verbal intellect. He could talk about a topic in such detail, yet his grades and test scores had the bare minimum. Then he moved to Singapore. This is where his teacher noticed the same thing. She, however, was aware of what could be causing it. She suggested it could be dyslexia, as she had taught students with learning disabilities before, and noticed that Dad displayed similar traits. So off Dad, Nana, Papa went to the Dyslexia Association of Singapore, where he was officially diagnosed. This was a weight off his shoulders, as he knew it was through no fault of his own that his academic scores were suffering. In the 80s, when my dad was still in school, computer technology was still in its early developing stages. However, Dad found it easier to do work. Using computers let him read, write, and edit sentences and words faster, allowing him to organize his thoughts better. He used his resources to his advantage to help mitigate with his dyslexia. In this day and age, the health system has vastly improved and has supported many people to reach their greater potential at school, myself included. I developed the skills necessary to get by in school successfully because of the small classes that help me with reading and writing efficiently. I have seen how our health system has changed and developed to support people with learning disabilities. But I know that there are new lessons and technology that I wouldn't be able to experience. I was lucky that my dad knew to look out for dyslexia, because more often than not, learning disabilities are only discovered in people in their 20s. And because of this late diagnosis, these people go through school without the support they need to reach their full potential. Dyslexia is genetic, but it's not a given. One sibling may have it, while the others do not. This is something I can verify for you. Now, my dad is dyslexic, but out of 3 children, I'm the only one with dyslexia. My younger sister is dysgraphic, and my older sister, neurotypical. Expanding on the statistic, my aunt, my dad's only sibling, has no learning disabilities. Yet, all 3 of her children have a learning disability: a dysgraphic, a dyslexic, and a prolonged processing auditory information and processing speed underlying written output. Yes, that is the official name. So, out of all the grandchildren of Nana, 5 out of 6 have a learning disability. This has not held any of us back in regards to achieving well in our passions. Now, as someone with an academically stronger older sister, I need to consistently remind myself that we have strengths in different aspects of school. You can't compare yourself to someone without similar learning challenges. This is like comparing an apple to an orange. You can't judge and compare 2 people based off of what he or she achieves in the same area of work and study. In many primary schools, a homework task that is set is to create different letters, shapes, and words in sand, shaving cream, Play-Doh, and other substances. This was and is something recommended for children with dyslexia. Work like this, work set for all children, is a good way for them to grasp at what the different letter shapes look like, as well as develop their motor skills. In my future, I am almost certain that a biological child of mine will have a learning disability, whether it's less than what I experienced or more. I know that there will be different steps I can do to support them. Technology is a developing area of support, and as it grows, what we do and don't know also expands. I think within the next 20 years or so, someone will make the first computer chip to assist with brain function, an affordable one that helps people with conditions such as autism, Down syndrome, and other disabilities that makes it difficult to communicate, contribute, and relate. Eventually, I think an option would be made for those with learning disabilities, no matter the severity. According to the Dyslexic Center of Utah, 1 in 5 students have dyslexia. Now, this may not seem very large when talking about students in a classroom. Applying this statistic to the world population of 7.7 billion people, we are roughly looking at 1.54 billion. That's 20% of our world population. And to be brutally honest, exams and assessments aren't suited towards us 20%. Memorizing information, spitting it out, ticking boxes, having correct spelling, grammar, punctuation. Being dyslexic puts you 50 meters behind all runners on a 100-meter sprint track. I'm consistently amazed, yet not at all surprised, when I find out someone else has a learning disability or dyslexia. I found you don't know unless you ask. Robin Williams, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, and Walt Disney. All household names of people who have had dyslexia. But they never let it hold them back. So, why should I be limited by what people think I can't do? Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking it's stupid. Being thrown under the umbrella term dyslexia is exactly that. Being dyslexic is always associated with not being able to read. As said before, this is a misconception I don't view myself under. A good question to ask anyone is, where do you think your difficulties lie? Being dyslexic shouldn't be associated with not being able to read. The surprise of who I tell always confuses me. At the start of this, I mentioned the book, Thank You, Mr. Walker. When writing this talk, I was given time to reflect upon my life and who has influenced the way I see the world and my ability. And Mr. Falker is someone who sees your potential, what you're capable of. Teachers influence us students from the youngest ages, and the positive or negative stay with us. Every student should have a teacher that sparks passion for them in a topic, and I'm lucky that I have had many. Students should also know that they are more than tests and classwork. A teacher said to me this year, "You are more than any number on any test and exam. Don't let it define you." This fact changed everything. This was said to my whole class, but I took it to heart. I did badly on an important test, but I also know that I'm more than any number. Being dyslexic has taught me many things. Most critically, limitations don't define us. I'm Jessie Williams, and having dyslexia has not and will not define me.